Hi, I'm Caribbean Andy. If you're new here to my channel, I make cocktail videos and I also do videos where I talk about bartending and working in hospitality. And today I wanted to talk about something that, well, we're all sick of, coronavirus. I had coronavirus in August. I'm really fortunate. Once I tested positive, I had the ability to stay home. I was here in this studio apartment for 11 days after that. Not going anywhere or doing anything. And my symptoms were really mild, I had a lot of people reach out to me asking if I needed anything, and I felt really great about that. I did have, I had a sore, very tight throat. Sometimes it was a little difficult to breathe. I would get really tired very easily, but overall, it wasn't that bad. And I'm not saying that to say, oh, coronavirus isn't that bad, because I do just believe that I happen to be very fortunate with my symptoms. That being said, a lot of people throughout all of this have cited the flu as, also being bad, or saying that coronavirus is just like the flu and things of that nature. But something that I really want to point out to people is that the flu is also bad. I think we toss the word flu around a lot and say flu-like symptoms, describing things that are really more cold, sinus, allergy, I think that people don't realize that the flu can really put you out of commission. It can kill you. And the difference being, of course, we have a vaccine for it. Also, flu shots are real. There's real data that shows that flu shots work, so you should get one. Especially if you're somebody who works in hospitality and you're around people, just go out and do it. If you have health insurance, it's likely free or costs a nominal fee, and you can get one just about anywhere. So get flu shots. That being said, talking about hospitality and sickness, I think something that I have thought a lot about is that if we were not in the midst of a global pandemic and I had the symptoms that I did, I definitely would have still gone to work. I think in the hospitality industry, more than any other, there is this idea that we go to work sick. It's just what you do. There's not people to cover your shift. And if there are people to cover your shift, the burden is placed on you to get them to do that for you. It's also worth noting that within bars and restaurants, there's no such thing as the concept of paid sick days. Yes, there is a handful of states that mandate days off for sick time, but for the most part, hospitality, you work if you're sick. So I just, it's a whole separate conversation, but I thought it was worth mentioning here. It's a real shame. And I think throughout all of this as well, we've talked a lot about essential businesses and supporting local restaurants. And the thing to me, back in April, really didn't think that anything should be open, and I thought we were going to see that. I thought we'd really see a full lockdown, and we never did have that. But to me, restaurants didn't need to be open. Even for takeout, that's not essential. I remember having a conversation with a friend early on saying, what about healthcare workers? What are they supposed to do after their 14-hour shifts? Make your own food. I have no sympathy for anybody. There's so many options to easily make yourself affordable, nutritious food conveniently without getting takeout or going out to eat. There's nothing essential about bars and restaurants. That being said, here we are months later, and it's different from county to county all across the country. We're in this gray area of restaurants and bars being open or not. And, when we talk about supporting these local businesses, I think, there's this question, should I go out to eat? I can't answer that for you. I can't tell you whether you should go out to eat. I can't even tell you whether or not you should have takeout. But what I can do is offer you some additional insight and some things that I think you should really take into account if you're making that choice to order takeout or even go out to eat or go to a bar. First, when we talk about supporting these businesses, hospitality industry, and I am generalizing, but these aren't great businesses. The standards are so much lower for food service than any other industry. Minimum wage is even different for them. If you're a tipped employee at the federal level, you're only guaranteed $2.13 an hour compared to $7.25 for non-tipped employees. In many states, that's different. California, for example, like you're paid the regular minimum wage if you're a server or bartender. But here in Pennsylvania, where you have Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, two cities with a huge restaurant scenes, $2.83 is the minimum wage. So still, in any scenario, all of those bars and restaurants, those businesses that we need to support, are putting the burden of paying their staff onto us as customers. They are demanding a very high standard of work from their staff, but they're not actually the ones paying them. It's us, the consumer, who is paying for the staff to do that work. Which, when you think about supporting a small business, who exactly are you supporting? Like, to me, it's people that matter, not businesses. And also, to be clear, like I like working for tips. I think everyone should work for tips at some point in their life, but it's a very flawed system, and it's something that I think works most of the time, except for during a global pandemic. So, making sure we're clear on all of that. Then, there's also the idea of, people being forced back to work. There was a time when all the restaurants were shut down that hospitality employees were able to collect unemployment, but then it's coming to this point of reopening and they have to go back to work or they lose their unemployment. So you are forcing people to go back in honestly unsafe conditions during a pandemic. And in many of those cases, those people are not provided health insurance. Now, there's the argument that maybe an employer shouldn't have to provide health insurance, or you can feel however you want about that, but that's not the point. It's not the world that we live in. People who don't work in hospitality, people who are working any full-time job, are typically provided some path to healthcare through their employer, and that is something that even at the height of the American Care Act, like when health insurance was put into place for Obamacare, restaurants were exempt from having to provide it for their employees. I've been lucky enough that I've actually worked for several restaurants that have provided health insurance, but most don't. Particularly a lot of these restaurant owners who are protesting the shutdown. They are demanding to be able to reopen. They're demanding that their employees come back in, and they are then going to pay their employees the bare minimum and not provide them with access to healthcare if they get sick. So that's the system that you're contributing to when you are supporting small businesses by going out to eat. So to me, going out to eat, ordering takeout, like that is not about supporting a business. Like that's about you. And that's okay too. Like it's okay if you just like really need to go out. I get it. Like life is weird and miserable and depressing, and maybe you need something to shake things up. Like, and these businesses are open and the people who are working do need tips, but something that really has to be considered is that you need to tip well, and the standards are going to be different, the standards of service. It's a time where you can't expect your server to engage in any level of small talk with you. They are going to spend as little time at your table as humanly possible because it's a safety issue. It's maintaining public health. I think any activity at this point seems to me, I'm not a doctor, I'm not an epidemiologist. Like, I don't know very much about biology. I went to Catholic school. I don't even know what kind of health classes I ever had, but I do think that, it seems like any activity where we can keep masks on is pretty safe. You can't go out to eat and drink and keep your mask on. That's all there is to it. So it's not safe. You can do it safely. There's, outdoor dining, limited capacity. These are definitely things that make it safer than operating as we used to. But you are still participating in something that is increasing a risk of spreading germs. And yeah, I know a lot of places are doing a really great job of increasing their sanitation levels, but I am also talking to you as somebody who contracted coronavirus through working in food service. So it's not something that I really want to argue about, And I can't imagine that anyone wants to argue about it especially if they've gotten this far into this video. But I do just hope that people take away that, well, one, the flu is bad. And two, if you're going out, you really have to go out in a different mindset than you used to. And please, 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 tip generously. If you're going out, you are in a position of privilege that many people don't have, like people who are immunocompromised, they can't go out to bars and restaurants. Maybe they still are, but it's a really different time. And you have to consider that if you're going out, it's not about supporting a small business. And I hope to encourage you to choose businesses that you really do care about. Not just go out wherever because you want to. Like, don't make it a Red Lobster night just because you don't feel like cooking. Like, this is not the time for that. That being said, I hope I've made some kind of valid points. I feel like this has been a bit of rambling, but I wanted to share a little bit of my experience and my perspective on this issue, and then move on. Please do subscribe if you want to hear me talk and ramble about more stuff or see me make cocktails in the future. And if you could hit the like button, I really do appreciate that. Liking and subscribing helps my videos get out to more people, get it in front of more eyeballs, and helps me to grow this channel. So thank you all for watching. I appreciate you taking the time to check out this little video, and good luck to you all. Bye.